to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018. As we've got the Knicks and Celtics coming up. They'll face the winner of Miami or New Orleans Saturday. Portland and Atlanta will get one of the two second-round games in the tournament underway a little bit later tonight. And what a day we got for you here on ESPN2. Kevin Knox of the Knicks coming up. Next in our Knicks-Celtics opener, DeAndre Ayton of the Suns. Our next game, Mo Bamba with Orlando and Trae Young with Atlanta. All to come here today from Las Vegas. Mark Kestisher and Fran Fraschilla courtside. We'll take you through the first two games here today, and we are looking forward to Kevin Knox, who has impressed greatly so far for the New York Knicks.
Possibly the most impressive rookie in Las Vegas, and there have been great performances, but this young man has shown Knicks fans that it was a mistake to boo him on draft night. 23 points a game, last outing 29, and most importantly, he knocked down 5 threes. But he's got all the traits, Mark, of a quality NBA forward. He can play either spot at 6'9". He's got that size and athleticism that we've seen on display. He plays with a great motor. You can tell he loves to play, and he's got the whole offensive package, both inside and out. And you really like to see a guy like this showing on this big stage out here in Las Vegas.
Those are the numbers against the Lakers on Tuesday, showing the 5 3-pointers in addition to the 29 points he had scored. And for the Boston Celtics, look, they had all the injuries last year. They had a lot of young guys who had to play actual minutes in the playoffs. Semi Ojeleye was one of them.
Without a question. Semi Ojeleye, a young man that was the 37th pick in last year's draft out of SMU. And because of that unfortunate injury 5 minutes into the season by Gordon Hayward, Shemi got a chance to really help this Celtics team. Now, we're watching offense here in the Summer League, which is an area the Celtics want him to improve. But this matchup today with Kevin Knox is going to be a great test for Semi Ojeleye.
Robert Williams was the Celtics' first-round draft pick at number 27. George Sedano with us today as well. What's the latest on Robert?
Kesty, thanks. You mentioned injuries earlier for the Celtics. Yeah, well, Robert Williams is still injured. He's been out since the first quarter of the first game on July 6th, and he will not play in this afternoon's game. He has a left knee contusion. He's been working with Alex Barlow, the Celtics trainer, on the side at practice here in Vegas at Palos Verde High. But he's trying to get on the court before the end of the tournament, but still no word on whether that'll actually come to fruition. Back to you.
All right, George. And without Robert Williams, going with a smaller starting lineup. In fact, as we look at our starting lineups, Jarrell Eddy was listed as the center, a 6'8" shooter, and the Knicks a little taller. Luke Cornett, who was their two-way guy last year, hasn't played all summer league, finally gets on the floor.
A little taller? How about 7 foot Mitchell Robinson and 7'1" Luke Cornett?
And we are underway from Vegas. Of course, they played 8 first-round games yesterday. We're in the knockout stage of the tournament. There will be 8 more today. There were actually 10 yesterday. 8 more today, so we'll have 14 first-round games in the book and 2 second-round games. The Lakers and the Blazers had the buys into round 2. And Cornett's first shot of Summer League, and second time can't get it to go. Mitchell Robinson.
Let me tell you something. This kid has got a chance to be a great NBA player. He's so raw, but that little vignette right there shows you how explosive he is.
Here's Ojeleye hitting a 3, and we saw a little bit of shooting in that package. That's what they're working on with him.
Without a question. You know, last year he shot about 31% from behind the arc for the Celtics, and they love his defense, and they're hoping the offense can improve to where he can be a really solid two-way role player.
A lot of fun now. We get to watch Semi Ojeleye defending Kevin Knox, who's waiting in the right corner. Catch and shoot, overshot it. Perrier Henry, undrafted in 2015, gives it up to Ojeleye, who misses. And on the pass, Bird couldn't control for Boston. It's always fun to see a Boston uniform with Bird on the back, isn't it? Jabari Bird, who was a two-way player out of Cal last year.
It's also fun to see the Knicks and the Celtics in a playoff game.
That's what Luke Cornett can do at 7 feet tall.
He sure can. That young man is from Dallas, Texas. He was 6'8" when he was going into his senior year of high school. He did not have a Division I offer until May at the end of his senior year.
Played his college ball at Vanderbilt as Yabusele, Gershon Yabusele, number 16 pick overall a couple years ago from Boston. Got some run with the playoff team. Damian Dotson misses. Ball knocked out of bounds, last by Mitchell Robinson.
Guy I want you to keep an eye on is Pierre Henry. He played in Turkey this year. And you know the Celtics just signed Bradley Wanamaker, the former Pitt Panther, who was one of the best players in Turkey. Bradley Wanamaker told the Celtics, this guy gave me more headaches than anybody I played against, and they really like him.
What a move by Ogilvy, blowing by Luke Cornett for the basket.
Now, that's not a great matchup. That's where size actually is a problem for the Knicks.
We talked about Henry and playing in Turkey. He does have a clause to go to the NBA, an out clause if he can find the right team to get him there. On our first foul of the game on Henry.
Well, Shemmy's built like a tight end, but watch this little head fake and then the drive. And Luke Cornett, that's not a comfortable spot for him at 7-1. And there you see Shemmy with the finish.
7-1 and hasn't played in game action in a while, right?
Exactly.
Making his Summer League debut. Cornett gives it up to Dotson. Fouled, and he'll get a couple of free throws here late in the shot clock. Damian Dotson, one of a number of young Knicks, Fran. I was talking to some of the assistant coaches for the Knicks today, and they talked about, look, this is going to be a big player development year for us, obviously. They're working their way back. Kristaps Porzingis, we don't know when he's going to be ready to come back. And a guy like Dotson, Luke Cornett, those were guys who got a lot of valuable time, whether it be G League or the time they spent with the big time.
You remember last April, he dropped 30 on the Miami Heat.
That's right.
And so this is a guy out of Houston. He's a Houston native. He started at the University of Oregon, and he did a great job for Kelvin Sampson as the Cougars have revitalized that program.
We had a look at that Knick bench. Got an outstanding group that will be with David Fizdale in his first year with the New York Knicks come the start of the regular season. Late shot clock here, driving Henry. Jarrell Eddy. Offensive rebound to Ogilvy. Tipped at the rim. Just about every Celtic touched it that time. Parker the finish. It's funny, you watch this Boston Summer League team. They're short in numbers, but they're guys, many of them who've played NBA or, as you said, European minutes. And they're looking for a spot all over the floor here, and they know their boss is watching. Danny Ainge is courtside.
Exactly. And by the way, they don't have many roster spots.
No.
So all these guys are competing for the few remaining spots. What's this guy? Oh, man. I'm telling you, Mark, the Knicks, you know, they hit it with Porzingis. They may have hit it with Kevin Knox, but this kid, as a second-round pick, has got tremendous potential.
Mitchell Robinson, and now Yabusele blows by Robinson and stuffs it home.
Now, on the other hand, Mitchell Robinson's got to learn to play NBA defense.
Well, we're talking with some of those Knicks coaches. That's right across the board with just about everybody as they get their first look, and they're getting their look against guys who have played this year. An inadvertent horn there, I believe. Coaches were looking at each other. We didn't ask for a timeout, and now Kevin Fahey, one of the officials on the floor. Inadvertent horn, no substitution. 7 on the shot clock. Have to inbound from that deep corner spot.
Gotta go, gotta go.
And they love when the ball's in the hands of Alonzo Trier. He can make some offense happen. Over Henry.
Let me tell you something. That young man's played his best basketball at point guard here in the Summer League. He was a two-guard scorer in college and high school, but he's played really well, Alonzo Trier.
Semi Ojeleye missing from outside. Point guard will be interesting for the Knicks. Trey Burke finished last year as their starting point guard, and there's Mitchell Robinson again at the 10.
Now remember, this kid did not play college basketball. He was slated to go to Western Kentucky. He decided to take the year to just work on his game. He was hidden, and people didn't really know much about where he was at in his development, and the Knicks have got a guy they can work with.
Averaged 11 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game so far in the Summer League. Foul on the play will take us to a timeout.
David Fizdale's got a piece of NBA silly putty in this guy. Someone he can mold. And then watch Yabusele, the Frenchman, with a little French pastry at the rim.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. Celtics with an 11-9 lead over the Knicks. Mark Kestisher, Fran Fraschilla with you. George Sedano as well. And Mike Zarin is joining us, the assistant general manager, team counsel of the Boston Celtics. He's about 20 feet to our left on the bench. You're surrounded. Jaylen Brown is in the house. Kyrie Irving next to you. Good to see those guys here.
What's happening, guys? How are you?
We're doing all right. What's your read so far early on, seeing a little offense from Semi Ojeleye, among other things?
Yeah, it's been great to see our guys do well. We got not so much right now, but early in the game we had a significant height disadvantage, and so it's great to see our guys playing hard and keeping their bigs off the glass.
Hey, Mike, you've got 2 All-Stars returning, plus a bunch of young guys that have made a good impact so far in their career. What are you guys looking for as you finish up the Celtics roster?
Well, we got a couple pieces of unfinished business, a couple of roster spots maybe left to fill, and obviously Marcus Smart's free agency still to resolve, but we're excited about the team we've got. We just one game away from the NBA Finals, and we've got 2 All-Stars coming back, so very, very good time to be a Celtic.
Mike, I know he's only sitting 2 spots from you, but Kyrie Irving, how's the recovery going, he and Gordon?
It's going great. We got the hardware out of his knee, so it's just a matter of getting him back in basketball shape. There's these little tiny holes that fill in from your bone naturally when you've had screws there, and they're gone now. So his knee's 100%, and he should be 100% for training camp. We expect him back fully.
Thank you, Michael. We'll check in with you later. We appreciate it. Michael Zarin, the assistant general manager of the Boston Celtics. Danny Ainge, Brad Stevens right around him as well, as they keep an eye on some pieces. As you said, there's not many needed as they embark. No more LeBron James in the Eastern Conference. And they were, I like to say, 6 minutes away from the NBA Finals.
Yep, and if you're a Celtics fan and you're wondering what's going on with Marcus Smart, well, they have he's a restricted free agent, so there's no reason to really get into a bidding war with yourself until Marcus gets a couple of firm offers, which the Celtics can match. And we understand that he's talked to a few teams when he's been out here this week, but I cannot envision the Celtics going into next season without Marcus Smart on that roster. You know, he's just, hate to say it, they lost Jay Crowder and Isaiah Thomas, but more so than those 2 guys, I think Marcus Smart is the heart and soul of this team, even if it's not just the scoring he provides.
Yeah, exactly. Scores double digits at over 10 points per game. A really good passer, can assist the ball, and always seems to be in the right place or make a big play late in the game as Ojeleye hits a 3. Before that, we saw Yabusele making a 3 and Danny Ainge enjoying that, looking on. Yeah, at least according to what I read, he's met, Marcus Smart speaking, with at least 4 teams over the last couple of days. The Celtics have the qualifying offer already out there on the table for $6 million.
Yep. It's interesting. The guy guarding Kevin Knox so far it's been more Pierre Henry and less Semi Ojeleye.
Yeah.
And Henry, as I mentioned, they really love his toughness. He's from Charlotte. He played at what I used to call UNC Charlotte, the 49ers, and he's played around the world, Mark, and as I mentioned, he had a great year in Turkey, and that's the kind of guy that when you have a roster of all-stars and rising stars, a guy like Henry's a guy that Celtics have always kind of coveted, like a Semi Ojeleye that can just come in and give you tough, hard-nosed minutes.
And Henry's going to get a little breather as he heads out. Justin Bibbs coming into the game. Semi Ojeleye also heading out after showing us a little bit of his offensive prowess for Boston, out to a 7-point lead. Here's a look at Henry, the all-time assist and steals leader at UNC Charlotte. Well, they prefer Charlotte now, right?
You know, yeah. Let me tell you one play that I remember in his career. He had a dunk against Florida State, and he got ejected after the dunk because he picked up 2 taunting technicals. It was the dunk of the year. It just so happened that it was I don't know if it was worth it that he got thrown out, but it was definitely a Sports Center play. I remember that.
8-0 Boston run as Trey Davis trying to make his way through the lane. Foul on Troy Williams brings us to a timeout here in Vegas.
coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. And Golden Corral's 99-cent Kids Nights, now every night at dinner.
Another beautiful day in Las Vegas of NBA Summer League action. The Boston Celtics won 2 of their 3 preliminary round games. Knicks only had 1 victory over Atlanta, playing for a spot in round 2 on Saturday, with Trey Davis at the line. And we'll look at Mitchell Robinson out on the bench for the Knicks. Davis, he's a Dallas guy. He's very close with Marcus Smart.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he played at UMass. He came a long way to go from Dallas to Amherst, Massachusetts, but they are very close. And the Summer League is interesting. Rosters are put together for a lot of different reasons, and this kid's getting an opportunity not necessarily to make the team, but to show what he can do, maybe in the G League in Maine or maybe overseas.
I think the Celtics done a nice job defending Kevin Knox here in the early going. Have held him scoreless.
Well, and we mentioned Perrier Davis, who's had that assignment. He's not in right now.
There's Trey Davis knocking one in for the Celtics. Played with the G League team last year with the Maine Red Claws. And an offensive foul will turn it over. 12-0 run for Boston against Kevin Knox Celtics.
What's really interesting about Kevin Knox not scoring is that the other night he dropped 29 on the Lakers and our former colleague Miles Simon. And Miles knows his game as well as anybody because he coached him for 3 years at USA Basketball. And that Lakers scouting report didn't pan out pretty well for them.
No, it didn't, but tonight for the Celtics it has. He's 0 for 3 is Knox. Nice duck-in move by Hassan Martin.
Yes. That young man played at Rhode Island. He's from Staten Island, New York. He's always been that size, but he plays with great toughness.
Here's Isaiah Hicks. And the shot rejected, but right to Troy Williams into traffic. Knocked away by Martin, who gets on the floor and knocks it out of bounds.
Now, his old coach, Danny Hurley, would love to see that.
He was twice the Atlantic 10's Defensive Player of the Year.
Exactly, and one of the big reasons that the Rhodey Rams turned that basketball program around under Danny Hurley.
About 90 seconds to go in the first quarter, and the Knicks are sitting on just 11 points. And this man, number 9 pick Kevin Knox, trying to get going. Nice move to the rim, went around 360 and finally fell.
There you go. You know, if they're going to crowd you like that, take that ball to the basket. He's done a good job of getting fouled this week as well.
And Fran, that's what he's done so much better, is driving to the rim, something they wanted to see a little more at Kentucky too.
Yeah, there's no question. You know, he's got the whole package as far as an NBA forward.
Found Hicks. Outside three-pointer is missed by Juwan Howard Jr., son of Juwan Howard Sr., the Miami assistant coach and 2-time champ. Played almost 2 decades in the NBA. His son went to Detroit Mercy, wearing 35 in blue for the Knicks. 6 to shoot for Jabari Bird. Deep 2, good for Justin Bibbs.
Now let's go back and watch Kevin Knox. He's being guarded initially by Jabari Bird. He turns the corner. There's no resistance, and you like to see that. I always want to see a guy who's having trouble early in a game, see if he can get himself to the basket and maybe to the foul line.
See if that'll get him on track here. 30 seconds to go in the first quarter. Jabari Bird, nice perimeter defense, a defensive 3-second call. It's going to go against Boston. 24.2 to go here in the first. This game was tied at 11 at one point, a 16-2 Celtic run.
You notice Kevin Knox immediately went to the foul line to shoot the tee. There was nobody else. He walked right to the foul line. He went right to the foul line.
And as you said, he has had a lot of practice. He's averaged over 7 free throw attempts per game through the first 3 games of his summer league schedule.
You know, I get the idea about driving, and maybe John Calipari wanted him to do that. But his NBA future is based on whether he can make jump shots. Because in this league right now, when you're going to play the 3 and the 4, you have to be a guy that can stretch a defense. And so when he made those 5 threes the other night from that NBA line, that was a really good sign for David Fizdale and his coaching staff.
And everyone you talk to on that coaching staff, they have loved to see the explosiveness that the promise was there going to Kentucky and showed oftentimes, but they've seen it consistently. Juwan Howard Jr. through traffic able to put it in.
Dad somewhere in the arena probably beaming a little bit. I saw Juwan here all week.
Well, the Miami Summer League team, they're going to play New Orleans to see who faces the winner of this game. Loose ball foul's going to go against Boston with 1 second to go here in the first quarter. We're in the knockout phase now. The Lakers are the defending Summer League champs. Inbound to Dotson, gets off a shot. Online, but just a little bit too short. Very impressive shooting from the Boston Celtics in the early going, and they've got the lead by 11 after 1. Welcome back to Las Vegas. Celtics the lead over the Knicks as we get the second quarter underway. Our first game here in first round action in Las Vegas. And so pleased to have the voice of the NBA on ABC and ESPN, and of course the New York Knicks voice as well. Mike Breen is joining us.
Mark, how you doing?
It's good to see you here in Las Vegas.
Great to see you.
And we get an opportunity to see you as the team you cover often, the New York Knicks, mostly that you cover. Here, there's Summer League Knicks. What's your read so far getting to see, first off, at Kevin Knox?
Well, I mean, obviously the Knicks have had a rough stretch for a long time. So any positive, and you can't overreact to a player and the numbers they put up in the Summer League, but this kid looks like he has a chance to be a really special player. And not just his skills, but the way he handles himself on the court, the way he handles himself off the court. He just, for a kid that's 19, he seems like a pretty mature basketball player and a mature young man. So I've talked to a lot of Knicks fans who are over the moon right now. They're trying to settle him down. Easy does it. But this kid has a chance to be really good.
Were those the same people that booed on draft night? Or?
Right. It's the same thing that booed Porzingis and booed this kid. But boy, oh boy, he really looks like the real deal.
I've been a Knicks fan my whole life, as you know. There seems to be, Mike, just a different buzz. Whenever Chris gets healthy, new coach, new front office, Knox, maybe Mitchell Robinson, who looks like he has a chance to be someday a very good player. Can you feel it in the city, or is it still a wait and see?
I think the whole thing is the plan has been set, and they're going to follow through on this plan, and they're not going to veer off it, which, the temptations to do so when, a pretty good free agent becomes available. You can make a trade for a veteran who can score. Now, they're going to stick to the plan and build the right way, and I think that's the smart play. And, David Fizdale has come in and he's already kind of established what he wants to do. And he gets the training camp and he gets young players to develop to do it. So I think right now that's what the fans are feeling. They're feeling hope, and that's what all you can ask for. They're realistic. They know there's going to be a lot of losses this year, but they see hope.
What's the feeling with David Fizdale? Obviously, we first met him as a Miami assistant. We know he did in Memphis. He was our partner there for a little bit at ESPN. But you hear the words player development a lot with the assistant coaches and with Fizdale and with all the young guys here. Seems to be a perfect fit right now.
Yeah, no question. And you know what? I thought Jeff Hornacek and his staff did a terrific job. It just, between injuries, roster turnover, front office turnover, it was not an easy place to succeed. But right now, when you have, you bring in a new general manager, Steve Mills made sure he wanted his guy in that place and wanted his guy in the coaching place. It's, they're working all well together. Everybody's on the same page, and that's vital now. Fran, it's vital now in an organization that the president, the GM, the coach all have to communicate together, because that's the way the league is right now.
Is there any reason a year from now that New York City and the New York Knicks is not a viable opportunity for the free agent glut that we're going to see? It just makes sense.
I think so, and they talked about it the other day, the coaching staff and Steve Mills, about Porzingis comes back and shows how healthy he is. This kid Knox shows how good he is. Some of the young players, Ntilikina, as much as his offense has a long way to go, he's such a talented young defender that I think free agents would realize what it would be like to come to New York and be part of turning that around. It's been so many years of difficulty. The fans are so hungry. The city is so hungry to be a part of the turnaround, to have some success. You'd be a hero in New York City. And I think a lot of players still love You know, sometimes because they have had so many losing seasons, the talk of it's the mecca of basketball, the Garden. Well, players still view that. They're not looking at the Knicks winning percentage. They look at that building and that city, and I think a lot of star players want to be a part of that.
It's hard to imagine. It's been 5 years since the last time in the postseason. Beat the Celtics the last time they were in postseason basketball, and now your hat as a national broadcaster in the Eastern Conference Finals. These guys were half a quarter away, the Celtics, from making the NBA Finals. Their brain trust is sitting to our left. And with LeBron James exiting the Eastern Conference, it feels like it's up for grabs, but Boston may be just ahead of Philadelphia as you start ranking these teams.
Right, they get to Game 7 of the Conference Finals without their two best players, or their two quote-unquote best players. I think they're going to be an absolute beast this year, another year together, another year of that continuity, and Irving and Hayward, wow.
We just had a rating spike. You're coming back in just a moment. Stay with us here in Vegas. It's 31-16. Celtics have the lead. Mike Breen is our guest, and we were talking about the Eastern Conference as we were going to break, and this is how it all shook out a year ago with Toronto with the most wins. Boston at number 2. Toronto got swept out of the playoffs by the Cavaliers, and no more LeBron James in the Eastern Conference. So Boston and Philly, it seems like they've got the edge going in, and Toronto as well with new coach. How often do you have a number 1 seed that ends up with a brand new coach with the Raptors, like we'll see this coming season as well?
Yeah, I don't think the East is as down as people say. Boston, Philly can pretty much play with everyone, and Toronto during the regular season has been so strong, and Milwaukee is going to be better. Indiana, friend, we were talking during the timeout. They've added to their piece. Indiana should have beat Cleveland in the first round last year. They were really, really good with some new players and guys like you mentioned Sabonis, the kid Sabonis. He's really good.
Yeah, and
coming over in
Oladipo.
that deal. Yeah, and Oladipo was fantastic last year. You know, I was going to ask you, Fran, you look at this league, and you've got in the summer league, you've got some of these guys who are obviously first-round picks, second-round picks who are going to be on teams. So many other guys are just fighting for a final roster spot. Others know they're going to be G League or Europe. How has it changed with the success of the G League in terms of player options right now? Because a lot of these guys, that's where they're going.
Let me tell you something. The G League is really hurting international basketball professionally, because so many of these kids now, especially with the spike in salaries and the two-way contracts, you're looking at, like Alonzo Trier has had a terrific week, and while he's not an NBA player yet, he's perfect for Westchester. And I look at this summer league as like the AA All-Star baseball game. A lot of great prospects, some promising ones, some guys maybe that are not prospects. But this G League thing has really been, it's now going to be the AAA farm system for all these teams. And a kid like Mitchell Robinson, who I really believe, Mike, your Knicks fans are going to fall in love with this guy. He's going to spend a lot of time in Westchester getting playing time and coaching. But you watch him for a game or two, and you could see that someday, at worst, he could be a Hassan Whiteside type of talent. Not necessarily some of the issues, but at best, some people compare him to Anthony Davis.
Now, obviously, I'm paying close attention to the Knicks during this, but he's one of the most intriguing players here in terms of potential. And you don't realize that a kid at his age to have a year away from playing any kind of organized ball, any kind of 5-on-5, yet he comes out here and he's making a lot of mistakes and he has a lot to learn. But he's not just athletic, he has some instincts.
Without a doubt. And the other part of your question, my favorite part about coming to Summer League is there are guys here that are not first-round picks who will figure out the NBA in 2 or 3 or 4 years from now. You'll see them in lineups, rotations. And in 2012, there was a kid here from Michigan State who shot 28% from the field and averaged 5 points a game. His name is Draymond Green.
Right.
So that's the beauty. Everybody's running a different race out here.
All right, where's the G League now in terms of level of talent and competition compared to the top European leagues?
I think the very top of the European basketball, because they're older professional players, 25 to 30, they are probably a smidge ahead of the G League, which right now is populated with a lot of rising young guys that still need some work. Their works in progress. But I do think what I'm seeing is that these young guys who could go make a lot more money overseas are saying, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to go to the G League. and I'm going to hopefully work hard enough that someone takes notice. So I think it's terrific. 27 teams this year will have G League teams.
Mike, I'm watching the Shemi Ojeleye, who just inbounded right in front of his guys, sitting in front there, Jaylen Brown, and also Kyrie Irving. I love the fact that we're seeing this three-point ball from Ojeleye, who can defend all over the floor. He's got 11 points so far here in this first half. That's just a great bonus for them.
He showed the three-point range last year. He got a lot of big-time playoff minutes. And, I mean, look at him. He's so strong. Jeff Van Gundy said that he would be in the top 5 in top arm wrestlers in the NBA. He wants to have a competition at the All-Star break, another one of his brainstorms. But Ojeleye is he's tough, plays both ends, and as you say, he's developing that three-pointer.
What do you think?
Howard Jr., wow.
What do you think? You watch these young guys out here, and in a few months you're going to watch the best in the world. What do you think the difference is? Like, why does a kid turn the corner and become not necessarily an NBA star? There's only like 25 of those guys. But what makes a guy like a Shemi Ojeleye play in Summer League last year and then help the Celtics in the playoffs?
Well, I think a lot of guys, when they come to the Summer League, and put Robinson, there's that instincts. He just has a nose for the ball. I think a lot of players come in and they're like overwhelmed by the speed and the strength of the NBA game. In some ways, it's two different sports. And it's the ones that quickly either change the way they play and keep their talents or add their strength. I think that make the biggest jumps early on. You know, it's still talent. It's all about do you have the talent to play? But this league has everybody's talent on every night. Some of these guys, you know, they'll play an NBA talent maybe once a week in the college game. They're matched up against a guy better than that every single night they take to the floor. And I think it's a lot of that is, you know, do they have the strength? Can they adapt to the speed and quickness of the game?
It's funny because it's a double-edged sword. As we have a timeout here, they have all that spacing as well, which they hadn't seen at the college. We got to let you go because I think we have to pay you if you go an extra few more seconds. Mike, enjoy your summer. Thanks for coming over.
Guys, thanks for having me.
Great to see you, Mike.
Mike Breen joining us here at the table. We'll continue in a moment from Vegas. Well, while we were talking with Mike Breen, here's what's been going on. We talked about Shemi Ojeleye defending Kevin Knox. It's kind of reversed itself here.
Yeah, absolutely. They've climbed up in him. You know, they know he's been one of the revelations of Summer League, 23 points a game. So give them credit. Perrier, Henry, Ojeleye, a number of different guys. Jabari Bird have guarded him and done a good job. And Ojeleye again looking to impress the brass with his offensive game because they really love his defense. Think about what he had to do last year. In the East, he had to guard the Greek Freak. He had to guard LeBron. He had to guard Ben Simmons. And so,
that's an onslaught.
Yep. And he held up well. They love his defense.
Well, he did a great job, and when you talk to the Celtics folks, they said the one thing they saw in him early and throughout the season, how he keeps the ball in front of him as a defender, so key.
Well, he played for two great coaches at SMU, Larry Brown and Tim Jankovic. And look at that challenge.
That's the big guy. And Ojeleye fighting through contact, can't get it to go on the second effort, and Robinson gets the rebound.
Look at Mitchell Robinson. I think Marcus Camby. I'm thinking Hassan Whiteside, and there's Knox trying to get it going.
Delivering the second three-pointer for the Knicks in the first half. They were only 1 of 7 before that make. Knox has both.
You know, I think teams as a whole have shot about 30% from 3 this week. All 30. That's a nice move.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because such of the philosophies for many of the coaches have changed, you know, to three-point basketball, and then you bring in rookies and the extended line here early in their summer league, and you got to imagine that's going to affect the shooting, right?
The biggest difference between some of these terrific young athletes out here and NBA players is NBA players make shots. Guys out here that can make shots like this guy who has made a lot of them this week, Alonzo Trier. You know, that's how the NBA game is played.
Alonzo Trier started at point guard against the Lakers on Tuesday. He's got 6. He had 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists for New York. Jared Utoff missing from outside. Dotson bumps it up in the air, and here comes Trier in the Knicks. Final 2 minutes of our first half, first of 4 games here inside the Thomas and Mack Center.
Yeah, I almost gave you a UB right there. In thinking about Alonzo, because I was going to say, in our league, okay, your point guard must score the ball, okay?
I love it. In honor of our guy, Hubie Brown, who's still recovering from his knee, and we wish the best to him on the shot clock violation.
But as you know, and as Hubie has told us, the way this league is transforming, you cannot have a pass-first point guard because scoring is so paramount because of the spacing, the ability to get to the basket. And this kid Trier, what you like about him is that he's shown the ability to make some other guys better, but he knows how to score.
And in talking with David Fizdale, I asked him how do we implement him here this first year with the Knicks, whether he's going to play with the big team or if he's going to play with the team. I just want him to score. Let him score. Let him do his thing. Parker had it deflected by Robinson.
Yeah, well, he's on a two-way deal, Trier, so he will spend a lot of time in beautiful Westchester County with the G League team.
Trier running into the big body of Hassan Martin. And the Summer League tournament continues tonight in Las Vegas on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. Sixers and Suns next up at 6:30 Eastern. Clippers and Lakers, Hawks and Blazers. Couple of our second round underway of the tournament, 8:30 and 10:30 Eastern times in all games on the ESPN app.
Watch out. There he goes.
Trier on the baseline drive. He said he was absolutely shocked that he did not hear his name among the 60 picks on draft night.
He did not have a good junior season at Arizona. The team did not win the way they were expected. They had some of those issues with the NCAA. And they didn't have really good guard play to complement the #1 pick in the draft. And I did their game late in the year at Arizona State. And this kid was not the same player he was in high school, but this is what he does. He puts the ball in the basket.
He has signed a 2-way contract with the New York Knicks. Alonzo Trier left Arizona after his junior year. Martin with the power move down low, lost it out of bounds to New York with 21.4 left to go. Alonzo Trier with 11 points on 4 of 6 shooting here in this first half, as the Knicks call for a timeout here late in the first half. 21.4 on the clock. Celtics leading David Fizdale's Knicks in Vegas. The WNBA is in full swing. Don't miss a minute of the action. Catch it live by getting your tickets today at WNBA.com/tickets. Lady Liberty Vegas style.
How about the Aces? Young team.
With how about Alonzo Trier?
Alonzo Trier is making his mark in this summer league. You mentioned he wasn't drafted. He was one of the best high school players in the country 3 years ago. And one thing he learned from Sean Miller is how to work hard and play with some toughness. But they did not have the year that everybody expected, and so his stock was not very high. But there's no question that he's showing the talent.
He has 11 points. He has scored 6 of the last 9 New York Knicks points. Boston with some backcourt pressure here with the shot clock.
You know who Trier reminds me of? He's got a little bit of Lou Williams in his game.
That's a good comp. A lot of teams looking for a guy like the 2-time Sixth Man of the Year.
Off the bench, can put points up.
Losing his footing with 3 seconds to go was Knox.
Gotta shoot it. Nope.
Didn't get it off at the horn. But the Celtics' impressive first half shooting, especially from Shemi Ojeleye, leading here at break. 46-33. Knicks have the lead. We're going to have an Eastern Conference discussion coming up with Fran Fraschilla at the half. Welcome back to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 at the half in Las Vegas. Boston with the lead over the Knicks, 46-33. As our two guys at the top, Kevin Knox and Shemi Ojeleye.
Yeah, Kevin Knox facing a little bit of adversity for the first time this week. Struggling a little bit against those pesky Celtic defenders. Got it going a little bit late, but Shemi Ojeleye, the second-year youngster at SMU, who provided Brad Stevens with a lot of quality minutes last year, even in the playoffs, has been very impressive on the offensive end. And his ability to make that three-point shot is going to certainly help his standing in with Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens.
Semi Ojeleye with 3 3-pointers. Kevin Knox 9 points, bolstered by a couple of 3-pointers. He did have 3 turnovers in that first half. Jarrell Eddy guarded by Knox, forcing him into a turnover. Alonzo Trier will bring it up for New York.
Perrier Henry's going to get the assignment with Trier.
Dots at a deep 2 for New York out of the corner.
We were talking at the break that for the Knicks to get back in this game, their second-year guys, Dotson, Cornette, Troy Williams, who's a third-year guy, they need to play a little bit better.
There you go again. Semi Ojeleye hitting his 4th 3-pointer of this Summer League first-round tournament game.
When Semi Ojeleye was at SMU, he's an outstanding student. And he was, by his 3rd year at SMU, he'd already been in college 5 years. He lived in the gym. He was in the gym about 3 times a day just working on his skills. And because he's such an outstanding student, he would already taken care of his business. But there's not a lot of people 5 years ago, when he left Duke after never getting on the court, that could imagine that he would have the impact he's having in the NBA right now. And that's a credit to how hard he's worked.
Foul on the Knicks. It'll be side in for Boston. Gershon Yabusele getting up slowly. Looks like he's all right. But yeah, Semi Ojeleye 4 for 5 on 3-point shooting. Defense travels. It did from SMU. He was the American Player of the Year. And now here he is in season number 2 playing in the Summer League as Perrier Henry scores for the Celtics.
Semi Ojeleye was hiding in plain sight as a Duke recruit. He basically was invisible. He decided to transfer to SMU to play for Larry Brown. Larry retired. Tim Jankovic took over, and Semi Ojeleye became one of the best forwards in the country.
As Alonzo Trier scores, I mean, you talk about hiding in plain sight on the high school level. Then from Duke, as Mitchell Robinson gets his 5th block of the game. And then in the draft, turns out to be a great draft pick. An awesome selection at number 37 by Danny Ainge and company.
Absolutely. And if you look around this league, right, we all know about Draymond Green, 2nd-round pick. But you think around the league, a guy like Chris Middleton, who's making $15 million a year, has become a good player as a 2nd-round pick. Watch this now. Look at the length right there by Mitchell Robinson. Had he gone to college, Western Kentucky or somewhere else, he would have likely been a top 5 to 10 pick.
Knox missing on a 3. He was a top 10 recruit out of high school. Ended up going number 36 overall this year out of Pensacola, Florida. As you said, was committed to Western Kentucky. There were some violations of team rules before the season. Sat it out, ended up withdrawing and preparing for the draft. And I think the Knicks and their fans are happy to have him for what they've seen here in Las Vegas so far. Wow, how did he make that catch? And he gets fouled.
Well, I talked to his high school coach during the pre-draft process, and he's a small-town kid. The big thing with him now is he's 18, 19. He's got to grow up. He's got to figure out a new lifestyle, Mark. The NBA lifestyle is not easy for a guy like this.
And for a guy at that age, certainly. Coming up next, Sixers and Suns. Then the Clippers take on the Lakers. We'll wrap up the day with the Hawks and the Trailblazers. 10:30 Eastern Time. All 3 games streaming live on the ESPN app. You can watch it anywhere. Of course, DeAndre Ayton and the Suns. Lakers, Josh Hart, 2nd-year man, has been having a great season. Trae Young among those with the Atlanta Hawks. But let's go back to Mitchell Robinson as Luke Cornette vied for that block. Jabari Bird taps it in with more on Mitchell Robinson. Let's bring in George Sedano.
Guys, I heard you talking about Mitchell Robinson, and I know that Mike Breen was talking about him earlier as well. Look, the Knicks see what you guys see, especially you, Fran. I mean, they think he has unlimited potential, but having not played for 14 months is fascinating for them. They're going to let him play through those mistakes. Perry was talking about that earlier in the last couple of days or so. And they also feel like they need to give him a little media training because he hasn't had much of that in college. And in a city like New York, he's going to need that for sure.
Well, there you see it, George. And you know what? It's not a great point about the media training. But I'm going to tell you, and I know they're going to do this. I know that, that David Fizdale and the organization are going to do this. They're going to build in a life skills training for the young man because He's so new to this. He didn't have the chance to play at a Duke or a Kentucky or to be in the media spotlight. But everything is going to revolve around this kid's personal development away from the court. Because the physical talent and the coaching of this guy, if it takes hold because he's got a great attitude, the sky's the limit. I mean, this kid's a freak.
Well, it's funny you say that, Fran. Scott Perry was talking about his attitude and how he literally is putting his, hard hat on and going right to work every single day. And they love his enthusiasm on the basketball side. But he's a shy kid, so I think that they're just trying to get that stuff out of him, getting him as many interviews as possible and kind of bringing him along slowly in regards to that.
Yep. Robinson with 8 points, 8 rebounds. 5 block shots here in this summer league game. There's a look at Mitchell Robinson, 7 feet tall, averaging 11 points, 9 boards, 3 blocks here in Vegas. Kyrie Irving and the Boston Celtics, his Boston Celtics, the Summer League Celtics, leading the Knicks 55-39, 5:52 to go here in this third quarter. There you see Kyrie and a couple to his left. Our right would be Jaylen Brown, Mark Kestisher, Fran Frassilla, George Sedano with us. George, interesting year coming up for Kyrie Irving considering his contract situation.
Oh, yeah, and here's the thing, Kesty. He's been kind of non-committal, right? He was asked point blank about his situation with the Celtics, and he was not necessarily saying that he was definitively coming back, leaving the opportunity open for him to test the waters in the 2019 free agency. So, look, Danny Ainge, we all know, is not shy about pulling the trigger. It'll be interesting to see if he decides to keep Kyrie or if he would even debate moving him. I don't know if I would have the gall to do something like that, but he certainly has not been gun shy in the past, as I said.
Yeah, and I think the good news, George, for Danny Ainge is he's built an arsenal of assets. Obviously Kyrie's one of the best players in this league. He's coming off that, late season knee injury. But when you think of the young players, the Tatums, the Browns, and then you throw in Kyrie, Gordon Hayward, some of the future draft picks they've accumulated, as much as it would hurt to lose him, and I don't think they want to lose him right now, I think the Celtics are situated very nicely going forward. But
they are, and when, look, Terry Rozier, he's not putting up the numbers that Kyrie put up, but what he did deliver when Kyrie went out initially for a little bit, I think it was in mid-February, and then again from April through the rest of the season, certainly makes Danny Ainge feel a little bit better as well.
Well, a little better. You're not going to replace that kind of talent,
right?
But you do have a lot of good young players in place, and so this is what they built for. This is why they made the trade with Brooklyn. This is why they acquired Gordon Hayward and Kyrie, and I think the Celtics sit in a good spot, but trader Danny's got some things to think about.
Yeah, and you know what, Fran? He's also got assets as far as draft picks are concerned.
No
He's
doubt.
got Sacramento's pick, unprotected, I might add, and he's got a Memphis pick to work with as well. So he's got a lot in the arsenal.
Exactly.
Jabari Bird just had Kyrie Irving on his feet with that reverse, and now Shemi Ojeleye connecting down low. George, it's going to be interesting next year with all the healthy guys back. I mean, look, Jaylen Brown is here today. Jason Tatum, we know what he did as a rookie. I know those guys may not be getting the same minutes that we saw. They're still going to get important minutes, and the talent that they've shown has just made this team so deep coming into next year.
Oh, yeah, they're the deepest team in the Eastern Conference by far. I mean, it's not even close. Look, Philly has probably the best two talents, potentially. If you're just looking at potential, I think that those two guys, Simmons and Embiid, can both be top 5 type players. But if you look at 1 through 12, Boston is just impressive as any team in the league, for that matter.
How about that move?
And impressive is that move right there.
1 on 4, Kevin Knox.
I talked to Eurostep to George Sedano yesterday, and there's that Boston roster. Look at that. I mean, look at the decisions they've got to make. We haven't even talked about guys like Aaron Baines and
Daniel Tice is going to be coming back from his injury.
I mean, think about that. Marcus Morris, so valuable. Al Horford.
And then Marcus Smart is a restricted free agent, as we talked about in the first half. There's a peek at Jaylen Brown, who's turned himself into a pretty good player under Brad Stevens in just 2 years.
Well, I got to tell you, 2 years ago when he came into the league, we knew he was a great high school player. He's a very smart kid, high motor guy. But you got to give that young man credit and the coaching staff, because he has really developed his offensive skills.
He scored 14.5 points and 5 rebounds in the regular year, and he, like Tatum and Rozier, were all 17, 18 points per game scorers during that postseason run to Game 7 of the conference finals. Right now, Jared Uthoff late in the shot clock. Nice move against Juwan Howard Jr.
Former Iowa Hawkeye. Thought he had a chance to be a good NBA player. The lights haven't come on just yet.
Troy Williams chucking one at the backboard. Playing to advance to round 2 of this Las Vegas Summer League tournament. Winner will advance to a Saturday game, and Ojale missing from the 3. His 3-point shots have not found the mark here so far, and we've got a Boston foul. The Knicks ball coming up out of bounds.
Let's go back and watch what the Knicks love about Kevin Knox. Look at that step through right there. He got to the basket from the 3-point line in one dribble. And we talk about this league. You can be you got to be a skill guy, but you got to have the athleticism too to go along with that. And that one play right there summarizes why Knicks fans are excited.
He's got the length and the athleticism, and Knicks are happy as Isaiah Hicks couldn't handle the pass down low, turning it over to Boston here with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Justin Bibbs' baseline J is good, and the lead grows here at Thomas and Mack up to 19.
That was a great pass by Perrier Henry. And I'm sure that's something he did a lot in Europe. You drive one way on the screen and roll, the big rolls to the rim, and the shooter comes out of the corner.
Knox, late whistle, but an offensive foul on Kevin Knox. We'll turn it over to Boston. 2:32 to go here in the third quarter. Celtics enjoying a big lead. Welcome back to Vegas. Here's the action going on in both floors over at the Cox Pavilion. Miami and New Orleans down to their final 4.5 minutes. The winner of that game will face the winner of the Celtics-Knicks game in the second round on Saturday, as we take a look at the bracket in this part of the draw. And there you go. Boston the 10 seed, New Orleans a 7 seed, Miami the 26 seed, and Jared Jones from Ball State been out a couple of years, leading the way for Miami right now, 24.6 rebounds.
Exactly. Jared Jones played at Ball State. I think he graduated in 2012, but he's made himself a good career overseas. I think the last place he played was Turkey. And if I'm not mistaken, he's actually a Hungarian citizen. I think the team, you're allowed to naturalize one FIBA player a year. And I think Hungary naturalized him 1 year so he could play with the national team. Did Luke Cornett just dunk that backwards?
Reverse jam. Luke Cornett, undrafted a year ago out of Vandy and playing in his first summer league game this week here.
You know, he's a great story. I mentioned it earlier, how he grew in high school, didn't have any scholarships. His mom is an Emmy Award-winning newscaster.
That's right.
She was in Dallas, Tracy. Dad, Frank, she's a Vandy grad. Frank's a Vandy grad. His dad, he played in the NBA.
Played with our guy Will Purdue, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe just before.
They were in that same period playing for CM Newton. And I mentioned earlier, Kevin Stallings took this kid knowing that he would be a work in progress. I mean, he was 180 pounds going into his senior year of high school. They gave him a scholarship on the hope that he could help them like a little bit, and all he did was make the most threes of any player in NCAA history over 7 feet tall.
Remarkable.
How about that story?
And he got a 2-way contract with the Knicks last year, and they're developing him at such a rate now where they have given him a full-time contract with the New York Knicks.
Just signed
in 1
it.
year.
Yep,
just signed that full-time deal.
I just flew out on the plane with Frank and Tracy and their daughter Nicole, who played at UCLA.
I don't get to name drop often, but I remember golfing in Dallas with Will Purdue, and he goes, "Hey, my buddy Frank's going to join us for 18."
Didn't you play with Frank?
And it was Frank Cornett, and I asked him about his kids, and he said, "Yeah, I got a son who's a junior in high school, and we hope he'll be playing D1." And
well,
here
Frank
he is.
coached him.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Howard unable to finish, but a Boston foul committed with 33 seconds to go here in this third quarter.
Luke also played with a really good point guard in AAU when he was a junior going into his senior year. His name was Matt Fraschilla.
Ah.
So that's why I know this great family so well.
And did we see James? Was it James who came by earlier?
James is Jeff Van Gundy's video guy.
For USA, Team USA.
Do-it-all guy for USA Basketball.
I saw him in Santa Cruz in February.
Yes, he's here.
Window of FIBA qualifying.
And by the way, Tracy's no longer an Emmy Award-winning newscaster in Dallas, because once Luke went to Nashville, she's now a news anchor in Nashville.
She's already got Emmys lined up for the Nashville market too, right?
I would think.
Great family.
So that's the Luke Cornett story in a nutshell.
Congratulations to all the Cornets, and Luke especially, as they flatten it out here for the final 20 seconds of the third. Trey Davis fouled by Tyrese Walker, a Knicks summer leaguer who played at Division II Morehouse last year and scored about 23 points a game.
If we went to Morehouse, we know he's an outstanding student, because that is a great university.
And he's planning to play overseas, but getting a little run here. There's a look at Tyrese.
And that's a great point. You know, aside from all the NBA scouts looking for guys to fill out rosters and G League teams, lots of international GMs and coaches here this week trying to find some guys to bring overseas to all those various pro leagues.
Trey Davis against Hicks. Got off the shot. Williams the rebound. 1 second to go from half court. Knocked it down, Troy Williams. They'll check the clock and the video just to see if it was out of his hands. Not sure if he got it off in time.
I kind of felt like it's Mike. Let's see. Oh, there it is.
That's unfortunate.
Not gonna count.
In his hands, you see the LED lights. I mean, you saw the lights along the table on the far side as well. Doesn't count, but look good. Look good. Troy Williams' three came just a little too late on the half-court heave. They want him to improve his shot here at Summer League. Does that count?
Well, he just hit a three right before that. He was trying to bank two of them, but
trying to get the Knicks back into this game, trailed by as many as 21 points. 15-point game as Kevin Knox knocks it away. No pun intended. 12 points on 4 of 14 shooting for Kevin Knox. And a look at Mike Miller, the Summer League head coach of the Knicks.
Longtime college assistant. And the last number of years, he's done a great job in the G League.
There you go from Tyrese Walker knocking out a three. And the Knicks get it down to a dozen. Second team Summer League Celtics, except for this man, Jabari Bird. And Kevin Knox is up to the challenge on the perimeter. 3 to shoot. Martin did a nice job just to get it toward the rim. It hit the rim, reset the clock, but the Knicks come away with it. Winner will advance to Saturday's second round. Walker not there. Tip no for Cornett.
That was a good slip screen by Cornett. He was actually open on the roll, but Walker didn't see him.
Utah facing up. We'll find Justin Bibbs out of Virginia Tech. Utah very active, keeping it alive. Remember, they reset to 14 seconds here in Summer League, part of the experimental rules on an offensive rebound or a missed free throw.
The Knicks can make a little run right here.
Knox, mid-range, count it. 10-point game. Hawks had a huge comeback yesterday to advance to today's second round. They were taking on Indiana. They were down 27 points in the third quarter. Late in yesterday's action.
I think the Lakers were down big yesterday and down 25 or so, came back, cut it, and didn't get the job done.
1 to shoot. Utah. I think that ball was in his hands anyway, and it was ruled a shot clock violation.
You heard the Knicks coaches on this play say, shoot it right here. 3-point shot. Someone yelled, shoot it. He hesitated, but you like the fact he went one bounce pull up. And the better he shoots the three, the more they're going to chase him off that line in the league. And that one dribble pull up into the mid-range is going to come in handy.
Knicks have scored 11 straight. George Sedano dating back to the third quarter here in the comeback drive.
Yeah, I'm curious, though, with Fran, do you believe John Calipari's comparison with Kevin Knox? He called him the next Jason Tatum, or this year's Jason Tatum. Where do you see him?
Well, here's what he is. He reminds me of Jason Tatum. The difference is Jason Tatum arrived in the pros with advanced footwork. It's something he had been working on since he was 14. This kid has similarities. In fact, I think he's a little better athlete than Jason Tatum is, but Jason Tatum's offensive skill level at the same period of time, to me, is more advanced. So that's the difference. Will this kid do what Jason Tatum does or did as a rookie? I'm not so sure, but that's why I call these guys NBA silly putty, because the player development coaches on the Knicks are going to take this kid and work with his footwork, the step backs, the improved shooting. There's no question he has a chance to be the kind of player Jason Tatum was last year. I don't think it's going to happen as quickly.
And among those things, George, if I could just add quickly as well, as they're looking at ball handling, adding that, setting picks, things you're not normally doing in 1 year in the college game consistently.
Well, Kessie, I was just going to ask you, you had a lot of Jason Tatum during the postseason and whatnot, and during the season when you were calling games on ESPN radio. Do you see any similarities?
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at the body type, the ability to score from all different levels. Those are the things you see. And the confidence, too. You know what I see between both of them? The biggest thing that reminds me of Tatum last year at this time to Knox now, and in speaking with Knicks assistants as well, he's not rushing anything. Everything seems slowed down. And usually you don't get that at this stage, at Summer League or even training camp preseason or your first month or so in the regular season. And it seems like things are already slow for Kevin.
Yeah, and let me make this comparison. And I know I know George knows, and you know the name Drew Hanlon, okay?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of fans have heard that name in conjunction with Jason Tatum, Markelle Fultz. Drew is a terrific point guard at Belmont for Rick Byrd. He grew up in St. Louis, and so Drew was Bradley Beal's workout guy, even when he was in college, when Drew was in college. Bradley's from St. Louis. He worked out David Lee. David Lee is from St. Louis. He had Jason Tatum at 14 years old. And Drew really knows offensive basketball. And so what you saw from Jason Tatum last year wasn't Mike Krzyzewski, no offense, Mike, and Duke. It's what Jason Tatum did from the time he was 14 years old. So this kid is going to get all that. It's just not going to happen at the same pace.
It's a great St. Louis basketball discussion right there.
But it's just a reality because, you know, I watched Jason Tatum's workout for the Celtics last June in, I think it's St. Bernard's High School, George, right by the airport, the Catholic high school, am I right?
Yep.
And that's where Drew does the workouts. And I saw that workout, and Jason blew the Celtics away with great shooting and incredible footwork. And this kid just doesn't have that polish yet, but there's no question he's going to get it.
George and Fran, I want to also spin it off. We're talking about Drew Hanlon and all the other guys as well. Workouts, that's become such a big thing here in the NBA and in the offseason, the personal workouts, kind of the way things are trending right now.
Well,
Fran.
with George and I were talking about this, I think, you know, on the way over here with you, right? The thing about it is now NBA teams, every player has what we call a camp, right? It's a camp of people that have been around them for a long time that want to see him successful. And some of those guys are basketball people. So it behooves teams to really develop relationships with these people who have been around their players for a long time. And so, for example, Brett Brown, as George was in the draft room in Philly, draft night, Brett Brown and his staff make sure they stay in touch with their players, not only the players, but also the camp, the people they're going to be around working out with during the summer. George, am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. I know I was out in Philadelphia on draft night and got a chance to talk to Brett Brown and the folks in Philly, and Brett had been out a couple of times already and was going to see Markelle Fultz out again in LA working out with Drew. So there's a lot of guys that, as you pointed out, that are working with individual players. And look, you can go even further. It's not just shooting coaches and things of that sort. David Alexander who is a trainer down in Miami, who started with Dwayne Wade, then started working with LeBron when he was there. And you look at his repertoire and his group of guys that he's working with, names like John Wall, Victor Oladipo. I mean, even in the NFL, he's got guys like Antonio Brown. So these athletes are seeking these specialized trainers and guys to help them with their games.
Brings us to a timeout, George and Fran, and the Knicks try to make this a game with 4:55 to go. The Knicks, Luke Cornett had hit a three-pointer and make this a 9-point ball game, but also landed awkwardly late here and was checked out. Watch him right there under the basket. And then they were taking a look at him on the bench, and Luke Cornett with the Knicks trainer headed up the tunnel back to the locker room.
He's had a history of injuries at Vandy, and so you just hope, big guys are different. They, the force of coming down and, jumping, it's you see that quite often. So hopefully he'll be okay.
Had a hamstring injury this week that they were nursing here in Las Vegas. He did not play in any of the preliminary round games, making his New York Knicks Summer League debut this season here, undrafted out of Vanderbilt. Meanwhile, the Knicks have been able to get it down to 9 after trailing by as many as 21 points.
That's an Arizona back matchup right here. Lonzo Trier and Kadeem Allen, former Wildcats.
And we will have DeAndre Ayton coming up in our next game with the Suns and Sixers.
Kadeem had a good year for the Maine Red Claws. He's a little older. He's 25 now. JUCO guy, and then Arizona.
Oh, how about Knox? What a pass to Mitchell Robinson. Chance for three.
If you are a New York Knicks fan, now we know we sell hope in the summertime here in Vegas. And a lot of people leave this place losers. But the Knicks have got a couple guys in Knox and Robinson out of this draft that eventually could make these guys winners.
There's your future right there for the New York Knicks on display. Knox with the dime, Robinson with the flush. Look at that, 10 points, 8 boards, and 5 block shots. Chance for three. Got it. And the Summer League tournament continues tonight in Las Vegas on NBA TV and the ESPN app. Memphis and Oklahoma City coming up at 6 Eastern. Spurs and Bucks after that. Utah and Orlando at 10 Eastern time. It's all on the ESPN app.
And by the way, did you see Mitchell Robinson make that free throw? I've seen him with three-point shooting range as well.
Down 8, a chance to get it to 6. 2 cracks at it. They don't, but Robinson follows.
You always love those guys that get up 2 or 3 times before somebody else gets up once. And that's what you saw right there, the quick jumping ability. He's very raw. He's going to, I think, have limited success this year. But you got to love his future.
Troy Williams, the poke away. Utah on the ground. 3 Knicks as well. They'll jump it up with 4.8 on the shot clock. A lot of guys hustling here now. Even if you do not win this game, you still have one more game to impress. The consolation games will be played tomorrow. This is a 10-2 Knicks run right now. Mitchell Robinson has 13 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 block shots for New York, helping them get to within 6.
And if you take away Robinson and Knox, the other 3 guys, right? They're fighting for NBA jobs. Troy Williams, Trier. Who else we got out there? Can't see him on the other side, but these guys
like Damian Dotson and Troy Williams too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They are fighting for their NBA life out here. Why not play hard?
Jabari Bird was penetrating deep, and then Perrier Henry, there's your veteran for you. Time and score, and dribbles out here in the half court. Bird, 4 to shoot. Ojelay's had a good game, looking for contact and gets the call late in the shot clock. Ojeley will get himself to the line.
Well, Troy Williams needs to know better, because when you got a late clock situation where Ojeley is going to have to force a tough shot, the last thing you want to do is reach in and foul right there. Troy's been in this league now, in the G League, back and forth 3 years. That's not a high IQ basketball play right there.
Ojelé's first free throw attempt this afternoon, no good. He's got 20 points to lead the Celtics. Troy Williams, undrafted out of Indiana a couple of years ago, but he's had a couple of shots in the NBA, Memphis, Houston, with the Knicks last year. Ojelé, of course, had all those outstanding rookie minutes for the Celtics. Splits the free throws. He's got the last 5 for Boston, who leads by 7 as we come up to the final 3 minutes here. The winner advancing to Saturday's second-round game against Miami or New Orleans. It'll be against Miami. We're told the Heat have won that first-round game over at Cox. As Troy Williams scores and gets himself to the line, he'll get that free throw after the timeout. 5-point game at Thomas and Mack, down to the final 2:54. Welcome back to Las Vegas, 2018 Summer League, and there you see some of the top draft picks in action today. Kevin Knox in progress. Jaren Jackson Jr. now on NBA TV with Memphis. We'll have DeAndre Ayton coming up next. Of course, Mo Bamba and Trae Young still to come on ESPN2.
I had an NBA scout tell me last November that the #1 pick in the NBA draft would be DeAndre Ayton. And I trust that guy. He turned out to be prescient. I think way before a lot of people thought he would be. And there's nothing. And I saw him late in the season at Arizona State. There's absolutely nothing I have seen in Las Vegas that would sway me away from the fact that he should have been the #1 pick. We haven't seen Luka Doncic yet.
That's true.
But I love the way that kid has played.
Bird knew he couldn't touch it. Henry's got it. Little no look, and another block from Mitchell, his 6th. But Bird is right there to score for Boston.
Tough break, but again, the length and athleticism of Mitchell Robinson.
Big basket for Boston. The lead was 4 up to 6, 2:15 to go. 12 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists for Jabari Bird here. Knox late game miss. Henry rebounds. 2 minutes left to Thomas and Mack. The winner will face the Miami Heat Summer League team, who set a Summer League record with 29 assists in their win over the New Orleans Pelicans. Mitchell Robinson commits the foul that time against this Boston team, trying to go 3 and 4 under Jay Larranaga.
Yeah, exactly, and also playing time and score, right? You got a 6-point lead. They look over at the bench. You see Jay Larranaga right in the middle. He's the son of Miami Hurricanes head coach Jim Larranaga. Jay was an outstanding player at Bowling Green. He played overseas, but this is all part of the process of learning how to be an NBA player. Perrier Henry has done a great job, although he's not a pure point guard, of running this team with a 6-point lead and managing the clock, and now they get themselves to the foul line.
Jay's in his 6th year as a Celtics assistant and got a bunch of interviews this year for head coaching jobs. The Bucks, the Knicks, whom they're playing today, also interviewed with New York, Charlotte, and Atlanta as well.
NBA teams hire assistant coaches from other teams who win. And the Celtics are going to win for a while. So he will be a head coach.
90 seconds to go. Knox on the move, blocked, but recovered by Mitchell Robinson, who stuffs.
I'm going to tell you something. As excited as you are about Kevin Knox, if you're a Knicks fan, you're looking at a kid right here now. It may take 2 or 3 years, but we're talking Anthony Davis type potential.
High praise for Mitchell Robinson, who did not play.
I mean, would you be
collegiately.
Would you be happy with Marcus Camby?
Oh, absolutely.
Would you be happy with the ability of a Hassan Whiteside? I would.
Knicks turn it over. Alonzo Trier leading Troy Williams a little too far. Mitchell Robinson, 15 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 blocks in this summer game this afternoon, and now back on the defensive end.
They haven't run one single play for him.
That's the beautiful part if you're the coach and the coaching staff of the Knicks. Perrier Henry, hanging in the air, but Yabusele missing at point blank, and Robinson's got another rebound.
Yabusele's missed 3 or 4 of those today.
Dotson to Knox with a hand in his face. Big rebound and defensive sequence for the Celtics. Two-possession game with 40 seconds left.
That was a big shot right there.
And it looked like it was heading in from our angle. And a timeout called by Jay Larinaga as Troy Williams was all over the Celtics. So David Fizdale watching with 36 seconds left. 5-point game. .36 seconds to go in our ball game. The Celtics clinging to a 5-point lead. The Knicks being led by Mitchell Robinson Jr. on both ends.
Exactly. Now, Summer League basketball is about hope, right? And the New York Knicks have not had much hope in recent years. But you look at Porzingis, you look at Knox, and you're looking at this kid who did not play college basketball. And in the second round, you're looking at a guy that has all the potential to be a terrific NBA guy. You cannot teach, you can coach him, but you cannot teach what he physically has. Size, length, and explosive athleticism.
It was a very impressive line we just showed on the graphic. 15, 12, 6 blocks, 9 points in the second half. Half of those rebounds have come here in the second half, and he's been a disruptor underneath on the Celtics attack. Shot clock at 10. The Knicks need a turnover here. Henry drives down the middle and gets unabated to the cup.
He's been impressive today. Perrier Henry had a great career season this year in Turkey, and he's just trying to make the fabled Boston Celtics.
Coming up next, Sixers and Suns, then the Clippers take on the Lakers, and we'll wrap the day with the Hawks and the Blazers at 10:30 Eastern Time. Won't want to miss DeAndre Ayton, the Phoenix Suns, Zaire Smith, Mikal Bridges of the Philadelphia 76ers coming up in our next match here from the Thomas and Mack Center. The 12-day tournament style format culminating with the championship game next Tuesday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific here on ESPN.
I can't wait to get into that Bridges-Zaire Smith trade with you, because that's actually a trade that may work out well for both teams.
And a lot of fun to talk about that.
Because remember, it's not just Zaire Smith for Mikal Bridges. It's Zaire Smith and another human being, because the Suns sent the Sixers the Miami Heat pick, I think in 21 maybe?
2021, you are correct.
Yep. So, you know, on paper it looks like why did the Sixers give up a guy like Mikal Bridges, hometown hero, but there's also a master plan in place.
And we'll get more into that as we get into our Phoenix-Philadelphia first-round matchup. The Suns went 3-0 in the prelims. The Sixers did not win a game. Knicks need some offense here, and they need it quickly. Troy Williams went up in the air without a place to go and turned it over. And that should just about do it. See if the Knicks foul. They will, and they'll put Yabusele on the line with 13.7 to go. Well, it's been impressive for the Boston Celtics. They're going to go to 3-1 here in the Summer League. If they hang on to this 7-point lead with 13.7 to go, and free throws coming here. With a team that has had one of the more shorter rosters, if you will. Like you said, there's not a lot of spots for Boston as you look to the next level.
They don't have a lot of spots, but boy, do they have a lot of depth. I mean, did you see that Celtics? I mean, think about it. Yabusele was a first-round pick.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he played in some playoff games.
He did. He just by necessity from France, played in the G League, was over in China. I think it was about 2 years ago, got to play in the Chinese basketball league.
I saw him play. I saw the Shanghai Sharks play in China.
I mean, he's a big dude, but he's nimble. The footwork is pretty amazing, and
he actually could shoot the three.
He can shoot it as well. Knox has had a frustrating day and hits the deck hard on a foul with 7.7 to go. Knox had a couple of turnovers against Ojale today. That was the matchup we looked at the beginning. Against Ojale, he was 1 for 7 and 0 for 3 from three-point range after being one of the bright spots, if you will, of these early picks here at Summer League.
That's why you never really get too excited about Summer League. 2014, the MVP of the Summer League was?
2014?
Glenn Rice Jr.
Oh, wow. Last year was Lonzo Ball or Kyle Kuzma? Was Lonzo Ball?
It was, no, it was Alonzo. 2012, the MVP of the Summer League, Josh Selby.
We try not to hype it too much, the play we see here, but just as glimpses of what we'll see in the future and an opportunity for guys to play in an NBA system as we come down to the final 5 seconds here. There's a look at the Phoenix Suns. DeAndre Ayton in the background getting his jogging in, staying limber as Phoenix looks to stay unbeaten. He didn't put too much pressure on himself, did he? He said he wanted to win Rookie of the Year and he wants to be an all-star as a rookie, which hasn't happened since Blake Griffin.
It has not happened since Blake Griffin, but this kid, I think, is going to make a major impact on that Suns organization. They've got a lot of pieces in place. Point guard situation is probably the one major concern for me, but they've got Devin Booker signed to more money than he'll ever spend in his lifetime.
Everyone's already trying to get him to spend it, and he said, hey, that's an extension, doesn't kick in until next year. I don't get that money till next year at $158 million over 5 years. I think it was John Calipari who was on with us a couple nights ago, and he said, hey, next time we go to eat, Dev, you're reaching into the pocket. He said, not till next year. 5.4 to go here in Vegas.
Boxing legend Manny Pacquiao is back. The sport's history-making 8 Division World Champion returns to the ring, and it's only on ESPN+. Power punching belt holder Lucas Matisse is the target. As Pac-Man goes for his 60th career win, it's Manny Pacquiao's return, live from Malaysia on ESPN+, part of your ESPN app, Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Undercard starting at 8 Eastern Time, streaming live on ESPN+. And did you know Manny Pacquiao is not a basketball fan, he loves to play basketball. This was with the Warriors, actually owns a team in the Philippine League.
He owns a team and he gets a lot of playing time.
There you go with the Philippines team. We were watching, because you could find anything on the internet. Perrier Henry tried to save that one right in front of us. He's got quite the shot. You saw in that clip there. He cocks it way back.
He had
behind
the
his
elbow.
head.
We got to fix the elbow. He's got a flying elbow.
You could fix him probably in what, about 5 minutes?
What do you think of Drew Hanlon? No, I mean, I tell you, they love basketball in the Philippines. Let's see what the Knicks here run. Even though they're not going to win this game, they're just trying to coach their guys.
This is Trier faking on a three. At the rim for Mitchell Robinson, finishing off a fabulous game. It's going to come in a loss. Robinson ends up with 17 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 blocks, but Shemi Ojeleye and the Boston Celtics win it 82-75. So let's advance the Boston Celtics into round 2 here at the Summer League, and there we go. Fran, I know you've always got those 10-26 matchups. Boston and Miami, opposite of Portland and Atlanta. They will know who they're going to face later on tonight because they're going to play a second-round game, the Hawks and the Blazers. But Boston and Miami should be a lot of fun on Saturday afternoon here at the Thomas & Mack. As Shemi Ojeleye finished with 21 points and 6 rebounds, a double-double for Jabari Bird, who had 13 points and 10 rebounds as the Celtics go to 3-1 so far in Summer League play. Their only loss to the Denver Nuggets, who got ousted as a high seed yesterday in first-round play. Kevin Knox, 15 points. And a more frustrating game for Knox, 5 for 20 from the field for the Knicks, who go to 1-3, and they'll head into the consolation round. 6:33 Eastern Time. Just under 15 minutes from now, that'll be the start of our 3:30 matchup. 76ers clocking in with the 30 seed of the 30 teams after losing their 3 teams. DeAndre Ayton is on the floor, already getting set and warming up as Shemi Ojeleye wrapping up our first game, 21 points, and with our George Sedano.
Thanks, Kesty. We're here with Shemi. Shemi, everyone knows how great you are defensively. How important was it for you to showcase your offense a bit within the flow of the offense with Danny Ainge, with Brad out there?
For sure. I think that's a big part of my game that I can, continue to grow, continue to progress in. So I've been working hard on my game offensively, and hopefully coming to this next year, I can continue to, help on the offensive end and on the defensive end.
Kevin Knox struggled in this game. Was that a point of contention for you guys to make sure that he didn't get off early in the game?
He's a great player, great scorer. He's shown it throughout the summer league. He's gonna have a great career. So we just tried to lock in and make it tough on him. And he missed a few shots, but made some great plays.
What was your individual approach? It seemed like you were on him early in this contest.
Yeah, just make it tough on him. I mean, a great scorer is gonna hit shots. Sometimes you play great defense, but he missed some tonight, and we got the win.
You guys got the win. Now you're looking forward. You're going to play Miami in the next round. I don't know if you've seen them yet, but what's the goal moving forward for you guys here? Do you want to win the whole thing? Is that the goal?
Of course. The more we win, the more everybody gets out of this. So, I think we're going to continue to go back, see what we did wrong and try to improve.
Shemi, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. God bless.
All right, back to you guys.
All right, George, thanks a lot. Impressive for Shemi Ojeleye, who was really stroking it with the three-pointer early in the game.
And that was his goal coming into the Summer League, because he wants to be a guy that has more of an impact on the Celtic team than he did as a rookie. And they have told him specifically, we need you to work on your offense. We know you can defend this league. I mean, think about what he's done. He's defended LeBron. He's defended Antetokounmpo. And today, Kevin Knox got a little taste of Shemi Ojeleye's defense. But the Celtics are happy that the offense was there.
Yeah, 21 points, 4 for 5 three-point shooting in the first half. He missed all 4 of his second half three-point shots. But it was, as you heard in his interview with George Sedano, they wanted to make it hard on Kevin Knox. He said the right things about Kevin, but Kevin's had such a great summer league until today.
This is part of the process of a young player playing in this league. And Kevin Knox, I'm sure he's going to be frustrated, but he still ended up with 15 points. But listen, you got a target on your back when you play as well as he has in this summer league so far. This young man is off to a great start to his career. He will have ups and downs. That's the way this league works. He is not going to be a great player every night for the Knicks. But if you are a New York Knicks fan, you have to be really excited, not only about Kevin Knox, but that big guy, Mitchell Robinson. Who's he?
Robinson. Yeah, exactly. He was on the Who's He list, fell to the second round, didn't play collegiate basketball. I think we all know who he is now.
We do, but we're going to get that word out there.
Mitchell Robinson, here's what all he did today was put together a great line.
That's right. Who's he? And the thing you love about him, you know what? Think about this, Kesty. Did he play hard? I thought he really competes. His energy level is great, and the proof's in the pudding. Offensively, defensively, elite athlete, and something that David Fizdale and his coaching staff will have to work with, because we may be back here 5 or 6 years from now when he's got that max deal.
He'll be on your list.
And we remember that summer league in 18?
That's right.
I have a feeling that could be the case.
17 points, 12 rebounds, 6 block shots for Mitchell Robinson. Luke Cornett went off undetermined injury, had a chance to play a little summer league basketball. But I think, and we've talked with Mike Breen about it too, our pal does 55 or so Knicks games. Just impressive job so far, at least here at Summer League, with Knox and Robinson moving forward
New
for the
York Knicks have hope. They have hope, and that's a good thing in New York City.
So the Knicks and the Celtics, Boston advancing to second round. They're going to take on the Miami Heat. And as we wait for the Philadelphia-Phoenix matchup over at the Cox Pavilion, it's Memphis and Oklahoma City late in the first half. Matt Weiner and Isaiah Thomas have the call on NBA TV.
Good finish by Daniel Hamilton as he got into the paint. And the Grizzlies turned it over right away. Brandon Goodwin into the game for Memphis out of Florida Gulf Coast. Devon Hall brings it up for OKC. Hervey will try the three. Kevin Hervey knocks down his first bucket of the game out of Texas Arlington. There's Heslin. Spent a couple of different years in the G League. Shot 48% from three-point range.
And we talked about earlier how well these young players and these players in particular have come into our league and are shooting the ball with such great accuracy behind the three-point line.
That was Markel Crawford knocking down the three for Memphis. OKC doesn't have the answer. Grizzlies come back with it.
2 minutes.
Grab for Crawford, moving without the ball. Setting up a three all over the boards. It's Davis with the putback for the Grizzlies. They had a couple of bigs over there who could have gotten to that one. And not a white jersey in sight. There's Burton. That masked man out of Iowa State. To Hall, who's moving without the ball. Devon Hall with the bucket as he got away from the Grizzlies.
Yeah, good penetration by Burden, and also able to find the cutting player. And as we see, the pace of the game has picked up a little bit in terms of shooting and scoring.
Crawford's scoring touch has picked up a little bit as well. He's got 7. There's Herbie. He's already knocked down 1 3. Can't get the second. Hessel brings it up for Memphis with a minute to go in the first quarter. Zip up to Crawford, who ran into Burton. Got to be giving up 50 pounds to Burton.
Yeah, maybe a little more.
I was never one of those guys who worked at the carnival who could guess the weights. So
right.
I actually have a friend who did that once. Did that for a while.
Burton looked like he's pretty well put together, and he's carrying a couple of more pounds than a lot of people out there on the floor right now.
Goodwin's listed at 6'2", 180. Not sure he's that big. Herbie showed off for 3. Goes to the mid-range there. DJ Steffens to Deontay Davis. Bad entry pass to Davis. And as a guy who played in the post-up era, that's got to drive you crazy. The inability of guards to make entry passes.
Yeah. Because that post player, when he gets position, if you can get the ball below the foul line and put it in his hands, you're guaranteed to get him a good shot. But we have so many guards now trying to make a post pass from the top of the key on out, and they won't break the foul line. If you break the foul line extended, chances are you're going to make a good pass to a post-up player.
Good swarming defense by Oklahoma City there. Rapp takes the foul, but will give up the fast break. I know it's one of those old guy get off my lawn kind of things, but if you've been watching basketball for a long time, some of the angles that guards choose to try those entry passes and the getting too close to the player to try to make the pass, it's a product of the way the game is played now at the high school and AAU level, that they just don't make those passes very often.
Memphis Grizzlies 24.
About 10 minutes in the books.
Memphis has the lead over Oklahoma City, 24-19 after 1. That's on NBA TV. And here at Thomas and Mack Center, we're getting set to see Zaire Smith and the Philadelphia 76ers. There's a look at a guy who was drafted by Phoenix on draft night, was a draft night trade, and he's going to take on DeAndre Ayton, the #1 overall pick in the draft. Been outstanding in Vegas. Suns and Sixers next.